What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. So, with all the anticipation, excitement, all the hype surrounding Logan, I can't wait to see it myself. It comes out, it comes out today, but I'll be going to see it tomorrow. And I'll definitely put a review up after. I don't do spoiler reviews, I only do spoiler free reviews. Because I feel like you should try and go into a movie as cold as possible to get the best viewing experience. But I will give my opinions on how I felt they did with the movie. Okay, with that being said, this episode is going to be about the X-Men franchise and how it would just work better as a TV series. I'm not saying they should scrap everything that they're doing with the movies. You know, the movies are fine. They have a lot of problems. Continuity being their biggest one. I'm sure the most hardcore X-Men fans will concur with that statement. That their biggest issue lies in they have no continuity whatsoever. Very little continuity, I should say, in their movies. Okay, so X-Men is a team that's unlike Justice League or unlike the Avengers, where those were teams comprised of already existing heroes that joined forces to fight a, huge evil. X-Men is a team. It started as a team. It always was a team. It was never solo, one-man mission, or one-man show. There was no way to individually tell those stories of each one of those characters in separate movies because all of their stories are tied up into X-Men. In order to really tell their stories and have them make impact with the viewer and to make total sense, you really kind of have to tell it as the X-Men story. So if you just had a Cyclops movie, I don't think it would resonate as much with the fans. You could do it, but I don't think it's going to be a big enough draw, putting Cyclops on something as opposed to putting X-Men on something. Or Wolverine, for that matter. So, the biggest problem with the X-Men, other than the continuity, the movies, is they don't get a chance to flesh out these interesting, awesome characters with amazing powers. We know nothing about Colossus in the movie franchise. We know nothing about Nightcrawler really in the film franchise, or very little at least. So my point is that in a TV show, TV has come a long way. I enjoy many TV shows more than I enjoy a lot of movies that are coming out. And I was always a movie guy up until I don't know, the last 15 years, 10 years or so. So, I'd say about that, 10, 15 years. So, my point is TV is a perfect platform to have the X-Men be expanded as a team, not only as a team, but as individual characters. You can't really do that in the movies. You have to focus on one or a small group of X-Men. And, most of the movies have been centered around Wolverine, Professor X, Magneto. I guess you can put Jean Grey in there because she's been a main focus, but a lot of the other, I would say Beast and Mystique, they have become more bigger players, but the main characters of the majority of the X-Men movies are either Wolverine or Professor X, Magneto. And there's so many more interesting characters and interesting storylines that you could flesh out and tell over time on a TV series. So I'm not saying that they should scrap the X-Men franchise like I feel they should do with Justice League and start over. That's not what I'm saying. They can keep doing these movies because they're not bad movies. They're just not very good movies. They're okay. That's what they are. They're good movies. They're not great by any means, the X-Men movies. At least not up until this point. Days of Future Past had a lot going for it, but I feel like it kind of fell apart a little at the end. But I'm not getting into reviews of all the X-Men's. Maybe I'll do another video for that. So not only do you have all of these characters that you need to flesh out in individual storylines, but you want to showcase all the characters a little bit. I know I'm not the only fan that sees a character like Blink in Days of Future Past and goes, oh, I wish I had more of that. Or knows a character like Bishop from the comics and really wants to see Bishop done right. Or really want to see the Days of Future Past storyline told out over 13 hours instead of just 2 hours. Because they can do so much more with these storylines. It's not only the characters. X-Men has complex storylines that deal with a lot of things, from time travel to discrimination to space travel. X-Men really goes deep, and you could do so much with a television show on the X-Men franchise. I mean, I'm falling in love with this idea every time I think about it. I fall in love more and more and more, because to me, this story, this group, this bunch of characters lends itself to a Netflix series or, an AMC series. Hell, I would even love to see it on like an HBO, Showtime, Stars. I know they'll never do that because they want to appeal to the younger audience, and those networks, their dramas and their action stuff doesn't really appeal to the younger audience, because it's not that it doesn't appeal to them. I'm sure it appeals to them a great deal, but it's not rated for them. So they would want to go with something more of a PG-13. So that's why I say something like an AMC or an FX, where they have, where they have better quality shows than CBS, an NBC, a Fox, an ABC, a WB. Those major broadcast networks, to me, could put out very good quality television. There's a couple of gems here and there, but for the most part, I really don't want to see my beloved characters on one of those networks. But would I like to see them on an FX show or an AMC show, or, like I said, one of those cable networks? Absolutely. I would love to see that, because I think they would do it right. It would serve all of these amazing stories that I know, that I remember from the comics. X-Men were one of my favorites. And not only did I identify with many of the characters, just being sort of an outcast myself, but to me, it was absolute great storytelling. And I've read them my whole life. I know that there are so many stories that they could tell that the movies would not do justice to. Days of Future Past, for the most part, was good. But did it serve the story as well as I think it could have? Absolutely not. The possibilities are endless with a TV show. The movie, you have to say, well, we got to fit it in 2.5 hours. We got to fit it in 2 hours. Whereas a show, well, we have 13 hours to flesh this out. I'm not one that's for 22 episode seasons. I definitely feel like that's too long. I like the 10 to 12 model for a show. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. That's what I think they should do. They can have both coexist. They just don't have to be in the same continuity. X-Men so far hasn't cared about continuity as is. So, look at the WB and what they are doing. They have DC characters on TV that are also showing up in movies, and being separate from one another. So I totally 100% think that X-Men can do that. Still have the movies and have an awesome TV show, and just please don't put it on broadcast networks. And I think it would work better, and I think it would draw tons of fans and excite us all. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think that X-Men would work better as a TV show, or do you just like it fine as a movie universe? And definitely, if you want to be part of the Screen Fiend fam, hit the share, hit the like, subscribe. Anything you got to say, the good, the bad, the ugly, I want to hear it all. Hit me up down below. Just show me some love. All right, you guys have a good night. That's it. I will see you next time.